Hello, friends. Just want to give a quick disclaimer. I have a new microphone, so if this episode sounds much different from my other episodes, that would be why. And also, I think this is my first video version that I'm uploading. If I upload a different video version, then that was probably accidental. So, video versions are now available, which is awesome. So exciting how my podcast is getting bigger. I just need more listeners now. So share with your friends. Okay, let's get to the intro. Hi, I am MK Archlink. I'm the founder of Archlink LLC, author of Unseen Powers, and a self-proclaimed advocate for those with autism spectrum disorder. I was professionally diagnosed with level 2 autism spectrum disorder in September of 2022, and I've been working to educate myself on the topic ever since. I am here to help destigmatize neurodivergencies starting with autism. With that being said, welcome to RAW-tism, a podcast about my autistic experience and my opinions on the world. On this podcast, I will be raw and unfiltered. Whether you listen to enjoy, hate listen, or just leave it playing on mute to support me, I appreciate the effort you put into my little program, so thank you. You are always welcome to disagree with me as long as you do so respectfully and with no name-calling. I love you all. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider rating and reviewing RAW-tism to help others find me. Ensure you're following RAW-tism on your preferred podcast streaming service so you never miss an episode. We post a new episode every Monday, but you'll never know when we'll throw in a special treat during the week. This episode of RAW-tism is about the misuse of disability accommodations and how they add to the stigma against disabled people and make it harder to make accommodations available to those who genuinely need them. Everyone, or at least everyone I know, has had the experience where one person ruins a privilege for everyone else. Your sibling looks up something appropriate on the family computer, and then suddenly there are parental controls that block your favorite harmless gaming website. Some kids vandalize the bathrooms, and then there's a limit to how long bathroom breaks can be. Or all kids need to be escorted. People abuse the honor system, making it necessary for rigid policies to be tracked. There will always be people taking advantage of their liberties and ruining a good thing for everyone else. This is a ginormous issue. And no, I'm not exaggerating or being dramatic. I can be dramatic about things that aren't so serious. From falling to the ground and faking my death when the kid I nanny is rude to me, to falsely crying that my fiance doesn't love me when he doesn't want to buy me the newest Disney Dreamlight Valley expansion pack, when I've already made the adult decision to purchase stuffies with my spending money that week. For clarification, I have my budget mapped out to allow me to spend money on frivolities. My fiance does not control my finances. Disability advocacy is something I am never overly dramatic about. This is a severe matter. You don't go to the ICU and start flailing about like an old soap opera actress and monologue about your lost love. There's a time and a place for being fabulously overdramatic. And my podcast is not it. Okay, fine. I'll always have a tinge of dramatic flair in my voice when recording. I will admit that, but I'm trying to emphasize that this is no joke. I'm not being a whiny about something that barely matters. This isn't getting the wrong color car for your 16th birthday or your sibling getting a slightly larger piece of cake. This is a life-altering topic. I genuinely believe that we can make it for the better. Not in a wistful or daydreaming way. This is an achievable goal that can happen within the next few years. That was a song connection I didn't plan. I fit the qualifications for many government-provided disability accommodations that I do not necessarily need. I could apply for a disabled parking placard, fight for disability payments, or even get an assigned caretaker if I really wanted to. These are options for me. I don't use them because I am not in a position where they are necessary for my quality of life. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it this way. People who don't need these accommodations take advantage of the system for the convenience of it. Parking lots make me anxious with all the noise and movement. But I wear my headphones and follow common sense, and I'm fine. Using a disabled parking spot would be deceitful because my headphones are a better accommodation for my needs. People who get a placard simply to get the good parking, yes, I've heard that term being used. They abuse the system and make life harder for those who really need it. You're not going to remove a splinter surgically. It would get the job done, but it's vastly beyond the requirements of the situation. While you're on the operating table, getting that tiny sliver of non-toxic wood out of your ouchy finger, someone could be dying in the emergency room with a bullet in their chest. If you don't need it, don't use it. I will admit that the bullet analogy was a bit dramatic. I should have chosen a more reasonable surgery to get my point across, but I wrote that in the heat of the moment, so I will keep it. This podcast isn't called RAW-tism just because I thought it was a cool rhyme to autism. It really encapsulates the vulnerability I want to spill into this podcast. I hope that my passion will help you dig deep into your mind and help you think about these issues more than you would just hearing them casually on the news. It would be very annoying to get ready for work only to see that no shoes are available, so you'd have to walk barefoot. It hurts and it makes your day harder, but oh well, someone else took all the shoes. Again, this is an example that's not really going to happen, but it's a great analogy for handicap parking. Sure, it's more convenient to park in the front of the store, right next to the door. Cool. Trust me, I get it. But 5 minutes of exercise walking to the door from your parking spot is less of a burden than the distress and even physical pain of someone with a disability forced to walk that distance. It upsets the whole rest of their day. If I couldn't wear my headphones into a store, I would get overstimulated quicker and would barely make it to checkout before losing my shit. With my headphones, I can go several stores and even hit up karaoke afterward and have a much easier time. Someone with a prosthetic leg could have a very different day depending on how far they have to go into a store. It could be the difference between debilitating pain and a slight ache. It seems like a stretch, but that's really the reality some people live with every day. If you don't need accommodations, please don't take it from those who do. It's common knowledge to avoid the bigger stalls in bathrooms because those are designated for wheelchair users, even if there's no signage. I'm glad this is a universally known thing, but that's not the full truth. It is for all disabilities. If you have trouble sitting and need the extra handbars they have on the wall, that stall is for you, regardless of wheelchair usage. I personally use it when my anxiety exacerbates my claustrophobia and I'm terrified to close the stall door. It helps me stay calm long enough to pee and get out of there. Some parents with small children with them will use the stall to avoid the kid crawling under the door to get more space. It should be reserved for those that need it. But the definitions aren't set in stone. There is some leeway in the necessity of accommodations. If there is only a handicapped stall left in the bathroom and you're about to have an accident, you need to use it. A handicapped person would, hopefully, rather wait a few minutes longer to use the toilet than you peeing your pants. That would not be good. I'm not here advocating for strict laws that dictate who deserves to use disability accommodation. I'm advocating for better education on these accommodations. Education is one of the most significant points of what I do as the founder of ArchLink LLC. From a young age, students need to be taught about disabilities and accommodations. This will help prevent casual misuse from those who don't need them, and help people who need them know they are available for their use. And there is no shame. There's too much imposter syndrome in the disabled community, and I'm not even talking about the deep issues of mental illness. I'm just saying that within people who need these accommodations, there's a deep mentality of feeling like they're taking something that doesn't belong to them. I've seen so many stories of teenagers or younger children needing canes to walk, but can't go out in public in fear that an older person will judge them for taking a walking aid from a senior citizen. There's too much stigma around mobility aids and other disability accommodations, and it makes it so hard for anyone to feel fully confident using their accommodations if they don't fit the stereotype. There are mobile wheelchair users. When they stand up from their chair for a moment, they can be accused of faking their disability, and that is sometimes seen as socially acceptable. If you don't need a wheelchair, don't use it. Some people can walk, but for one reason or another, they may need a wheelchair to function in the long run. That's needing a wheelchair. Don't judge a book by its cover. Everyone has the option to do what is right. It isn't always easy or straightforward. Sometimes there is more than one correct or okay answer that won't make anyone happy. It isn't always easy or straightforward. Sometimes there's more than one correct answer, or it's an okay answer that won't make everyone happy. But it works for the most people. Unfortunately, not every situation has a Disney happily ever after ending. Disability accommodations may be controversial, but there is a demographic need for them, and another demographic who abuses. These groups sometimes overlap. Someone who needs one thing could be abusing another accommodation that they don't need. Like me getting a disability placard would be an abuse because that is not an accommodation I need. It's not always black and white, but your heart always knows what's right. There aren't enough disability accommodations. Most bathrooms only have one handicap stall. Stores have a limited number of electric scooters. And some medications are constantly on back order. It would be insane to ask my listeners to fix all the world's problems when it comes to disability accommodations. Thankfully, that is not the result I am looking for. All I am asking is for y'all to think about the consequences of your actions. Life's not fair. Life is tough. Let's do our best not to make it more challenging for those with disabilities. I won't get a disabled placard because I don't need the parking space. If you need those parking spaces, please use them. That's what they are for. But don't be afraid to stand up for what's right. If someone's parked in a disabled parking space without a placard, report them. Tell a manager if a bunch of ignorant teenagers are racing electric scooters down the store aisles. Stand up for disabled people as much as you can. Sometimes you might be wrong. The disability placard could have fallen, or the teenagers could all need mobility aids. That seems very unlikely, but you never know. This is why you need to address the issue with proper authorities. Don't go talking to the person using it. Report the parking to the city. Report the scooters to the store manager, or use a non-emergency police number. Do the right thing. Again, I do not recommend going up to the person with the mobility device and cussing them out. That's not going to solve anything. Report it. They can see in the best way possible if the person actually needs it, and then if they don't, you did a service. If they do, hey, you made a mistake, but it's not going to be egg on your face because you're not going to be the one directly talking with them. The person whose job it is to make sure that things aren't abused is the one who's going to talk with them. So, hope that makes sense. If not, always feel free to ask me questions. And here comes the outro. Since I have a new recording and editing system, I haven't figured out how I want to pre-record the intro and outro. So you could probably tell that I am just reading them off my script. As always, I am not here to shame anyone. I'm not even here to tell you what or how to think. I'm here to share the autistic experience with you from someone who is studying for their graduate certification in autism spectrum disorder. Someone who for the first 22 years of their life was under the impression that they were allistic. And as someone who since September 30th, 2022 has finally found their place in the world. I am autistic. I am a part of the autistic community. And I'm proud of it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Regardless of your thoughts and feelings toward me, I have a love for every one of you. You are wanted by many, you are loved by many, and so many want you to stay in this world. I am one of these manys, and always will be. If you'd like to support this podcast, the description includes links with referral codes to Circle's water bottles, Pair Eyewear's customizable glasses, and my favorite Amazon products. The transcript for this episode can be found for free on my Patreon, which is also linked below. Would you like to see more of me? In that case, visit mkarchlink.com for links to my other content. A new episode of RAW-tism comes out every Monday wherever you get your podcasts. Next week's episode of RAW-tism is posted on Patreon every Tuesday. Karaoke videos are posted on Patreon every Thursday. Lastly, my book, Unseen Powers, is available in hardback, paperback, or digitally through Amazon. Remember to drink water, eat some nummies, and have your best life. Bye! Ooh, it's almost 19 minutes.